Well, the U.S. is reportedly planning to withdraw all American troops from Afghanistan by September 11th of this year. President Biden is due to announce the plans later on Wednesday. There are about 3,000 American soldiers in Afghanistan serving alongside some 7,000 additional NATO forces. Biden's plan extends the May 1st withdrawal deadline set by the Trump administration by 4 months. U.S. officials say that'll give Washington more time to coordinate an orderly withdrawal with NATO allies. But the Taliban has threatened to renew attacks if foreign forces are not out by May. For more on this, let's bring in DW's Bernd Riegert, who has the view from Brussels. Bernd, this withdrawal, it would mark the end of 20 years of war in Afghanistan for the Americans. How has that gone down with Washington's NATO allies, who rely on the U.S. for its true presence in Afghanistan?
At least there's a sense of relief that there is now a plan for an orderly withdrawal. The Trump administration wanted to leave Afghanistan already on 1st of May. That would not have been workable and feasible. And so NATO can now plan for 4 more months. And the ministers of defense and the foreign secretaries of NATO will gather later in the day in a video conference to talk about how to organize this withdrawal, because you have to keep in mind that there are 9,000 troops in Afghanistan, 2,500 from the Americans, but 7,000 from at least 35 other nations, and Germany, the second biggest supplier of troops in Afghanistan. So all this has to be organized now, because the main goal of NATO is, of course, to get the troops out safely. The Taliban in Afghanistan already threatened that they will attack troops after May 1st. So this will be a very difficult operation to leave Afghanistan after 20 years.
And they're threatening to attack those troops after May 1st because that is the date that the Trump administration agreed to with the Taliban for the U.S. withdrawal. Given that they're now talking about September, first of all, what does this mean for the future of peace talks with the Taliban? And second of all, what does it mean for the stability of the government in Afghanistan? What sort of situation could the U.S. be leaving behind?
Well, a spokesperson for the Taliban already announced that they would not take part in the next round of so-called peace talks for Afghanistan, which were scheduled by Turkey at the end of this month. And the Taliban, the level of violence is still high in Afghanistan. It's targeting the civil population, the civilians. And now the Taliban also threat to attack the troops again. So this will, of course, destabilize the whole country. And after the troops have left, it's more or less sure that the Taliban will take over again, and that we reach the same status we had 20 years ago when NATO went in.
Okay, this potential withdrawal, Bernd, also coming as NATO is facing a threat much closer to home, as we know. That's on the Russia-Ukraine border, where Moscow has been expanding its military presence in recent weeks. It's drawn sharp rebukes from NATO members, including the U.S. I'd just like to hear what the U.S. Secretary of State has had to say on this, and then get your reaction thereafter.
The United States stands firmly behind the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. And that's particularly important at a time when we're seeing, unfortunately, Russia take very provocative actions when it comes to Ukraine. We're now seeing the largest concentration of Russian forces on Ukraine's borders since 2014.
Diplomacy in high gear over Ukraine. What's been happening, Bernd?
Well, the NATO ministers will reassure Ukraine certainly today of their support, but they will not send any troops or something to Russia. And they all look now at Washington because President Biden is inviting the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, for a summit to solve all these issues. You know, the relations are very bad, and NATO is hoping that Biden can resolve the issues.
Bernd Riegert in Brussels, thank you.